Hello everyone, thanks for joining. This is Federico Toledo, and I will share with you today a presentation called New Challenges in Software Quality brought by GenAI and LLMs. I really believe that that instead of talking that much about how to generate test cases with ChatGPT, we should be focusing on the new challenges of this type of systems and how to get ready as testers to understand the risks and the challenges for the testing of this type of systems. Let me introduce briefly myself. I've been working in software testing for almost 20 years. I'm one of the founders of Abstracta. I'm the author of the first book written in Spanish about software testing, and I typically share what I learn in different podcasts and talks and articles. Let's dive in our topic today. The first challenge I want to share with you is related to how the user expectations have changed after ChatGPT was introduced. I remember a few years ago when I was interacting with my Google Home, I felt like in the future, right? It's like giving instructions to a system through my voice, really felt that way. Nowadays, after ChatGPT appeared, I think those assistants seem less intelligent because they change the way the user expect a system understand them, especially when we have an interface with human language. In the same line, we have a change in the perception of performance in the response times. Now the users are expecting an immediate response. Even though it's chunk by chunk or word by word, these kind of interactions allow them to read fluently. And all these things, I think we should take them into consideration when we are designing the way our systems are going to interact with our users, because now they have a new expectation, right? So it's also important to understand how these models are trained and adjust, because we know they are trained with the available data on the internet. That includes human history, so there is a lot of hate, discrimination, racism, a lot of things that can harm people, right? So people working on building these models, they try to compensate that, adjusting the outputs, and that can also lead to an undesired outcome. And here you can see a very famous example where someone was asking Google Gemini to generate an image of a German soldier of the Second World War, and it generated a very diverse group of people that didn't reflect the history. So we need to understand this in order to do something to analyze if that kind of behavior might affect the way we use the LLMs. And also another point I wanted to talk about is that machine learning and artificial intelligence work based on bias. I mean, discriminating some type of data and doing something different for each type of data, right? Bias is not something that we can avoid or eradicate from our data or from our models. It's something that we need to understand. And probably the best question we can ask as testers is there any bias in the model or in the data that might affect negatively to some of our users, and do something about it, right? So there are also legal risks. We need to understand how the policies of the platforms that we are using. Also, according to the regions we are working on, there are different laws and regulations. For example, in Europe, we have the GDPR, the AI Act. To simplify, to give a very simple explanation of how the AI Act works. Basically, you need to categorize your system according to different levels of risk, right? And according to each level, they require you to do different things. For example, to let the user know when you are offering something that was automatically generated with AI. These type of things provide more transparency to the users, and this is very important. So we need to research more about what are the legal implications or the legal risks for that. Maybe one of the most famous or infamous risks is the hallucinations, right? That the LLMs, sometimes they don't know the answer, or they generate an answer that seems legitimate, but actually is not correct, right? And I wanted to share with you a work from James Buck and Michael Bolton that I really like, that they categorize it in different kinds of hallucination, let's say the syndromes as they call them. Some behaviors that they observed that always happen and categorized in different ways. And for example, one is incuriosity, meaning that you ask a question, maybe the question is ambiguous, and the LLM gives you an answer instead of asking for clarification. Another one is when you receive a response and you say, no, this is incorrect. And the LLM says, oh, sorry, you're right. And right. So there are different situations. And this categorization, I think, is very useful in order to understand how our system is going to behave for each of these type of situation, to make sure that we are managing these type of situations properly, right? So another big challenge is related to test automation for regression testing, and believe me, you will need test automation in your testing strategy for this type of system, because there are new versions of the models of the models that you are using, of the OpenAI or Claude or whatever model you're using. There are new versions every other week, right? And you will want to adopt the new version of the model because they are cheaper, faster, they have more features, whatever reason works for you. So we will want to make sure that the prompts that we are using in our system still gives us the answers, the type of response we are expecting. So we want to automate the execution of certain prompts in order to make sure that the new version of the model doesn't break something that was working in our system. For that, there is a huge challenge because this type of components are non-deterministic. So how to automate the response, the verification of a response that is not deterministic? There are a few frameworks that are new. One of them is Evals from OpenAI. It's an open source framework. There are some others that are similar, but I will explain this one as an example. Basically, it provides an easy way to create new test cases to test your prompts and verify the outputs. And they provide two types of templates to verify the outputs. The first one is a basic template doing some string comparison. That won't work in most of the cases. And the most advanced template type is the model-graded eval templates that uses another LLM in order to do some comparison on the response. You can ask questions to that response, if it answers the question, if it's similar to this content. So you can ask more semantic questions on that response in order to make better assertions. And I think it's the best approach we have so far for this type of test automation. Okay. I've been talking mainly about functional aspects, but there are also a lot of challenges for non-functional aspects. For example, security. There is a top 10 of vulnerabilities published by OWASP, specifically for LLM-based applications. The number one is prompt injection, something very similar to SQL injection, but for this type of applications. And there are many more. Actually, there are 10 in the top vulnerabilities they classified, and it's important to understand them and see if we can avoid this type of vulnerabilities and how to test them in our systems. Usability and accessibility, I really believe this is a huge topic, and we need more research on that because we are changing the way we interact with the system. So there are new things to take into consideration, and probably we need more people with expertise in language in order to assess us on how to provide interfaces that are easy to use and accessible for everyone. And for performance, I wanted to mention that observability should be a key component on our testing strategy, not only for performance, also for debugging in production, to analyze post-mortem what happened when we have an error. The different platforms for observability, they are incorporating very quickly different features in order to also offer visibility on this type of applications. For example, here I have some screenshots from Datadog, and they are providing specific metrics like the number of tokens that are used for each LLM that we are using, the response times. Also, we have the logs of each invocation with the prompt and the response, and we can analyze for each user how the LLM behaved and responded for the particular use. And there are so many metrics that we need to understand and monitor in production, and also, why not, in our testing environments in order to optimize our systems. And also, a few closing thoughts I had to share with you to wrap up the presentation. I really think we shouldn't see GenAI or LLMs as the new way of developing everything, right? There are interesting problems that they can solve, but there are other type of problems that we should continue using traditional programming, imperative languages, right? Probably we should find a balance on which, or understand which kind of problems are better solved with this type of technology, and which other type of problems are not the best option for this type of use. The challenge probably is to find a healthy balance between excitement and skepticism, because there is a hype at this moment. Everyone wants to incorporate GenAI at some point, right? And my perception or my vision is that it is possible to build LLM-based applications to meet the user needs, to provide good quality experiences. And I hope that in this short presentation, I was able to share some ideas for you to design a proper testing strategy. Please reach out by email or search in LinkedIn for my name, and I will be more than happy to continue the conversation with you about all these topics. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye.